Unfortunately, the mean German Nazis' actions killed her and 6 million other Jews. Anne Frank was born in Frankfurt, Germany in 1929. A Jew girl. Had she been born after the Holocaust, maybe she would have had a family. Maybe she would have become a writer like she dreamed. But she was born right before the Holocaust. When she was 2, World War II began. She was 4 when Adolf Hitler came into power in 1933. In 1933, Otto Frank, Anne's father, and his family moved to Holland. He owned a business there called Ketta Works, as Germany began to grow worse and worse. On November 9, 1938, Nazis and other Germans attacked the synagogues, Jews' homes, and businesses. May 10, 1940, the Germans attacked Holland. 4 days later, the Dutch surrendered, and Nazis took over the government. Jews began to lose more things. They couldn't marry non-Jews. They could only shop at certain shops at certain times. They had to wear a big yellow star with the word Jude on it for Jew. The children could only go to certain schools, no cars, no bikes, no ice cream stores, and more. Anne Frank started her diary in June 12, 1942. She called her diary Kitty. On July 5th, Margaret got a card saying that she was to report to the Nazis the next day. Otto decided that they would go into hiding immediately. They left the people thinking that they had gone to Switzerland. On July 6, 1942, the Franks went into hiding in the annex. They were better off than some people because they could move around after the workers left. A week later, the Van Pels went into hiding with them. They had a son and a cat. McGeus and Bentfoskish helped the Franks and Van Pels stay in hiding. They did the grocery shopping. They got books, all the necessaries. Anne Frank's last diary entry was August 1st, 1944. They were found by German police and Dutch Nazis. They were put in jail for 4 days. On the 8th, the women and men were separated. Anne, Margaret, Edith, and Augustine were sent to a camp meant for killing Jews. Anne and Margaret left their mother and she died January 6, 1945. Margaret died in February or March. Anne died in March, a couple weeks before the Russians came and freed the people. Hitler's enemies eventually got rid of him, but not in time to save the 6 million people whose lives were lost. When Gies was sure that Anne had died, she gave Otto Anne's diary, which he had found. Otto remarried a woman in 1953. She had survived the Holocaust. She had a daughter. Otto died in 1980.
My name is Charlotte Monk, and I'm doing a report about Mary, Queen of Scots. Queen Mary was born in Linlithgow Palace on December the 7th, 1542. She was the only daughter of King James V. But on December 14, 1542, King James V died only days after she was born. That made her Queen of Scotland when she was only 14 months old. She was sent to France when she was 5 years old, so she started training to be a French queen. Mary became queen and married Francis. Mary had a luxury traveling from one place to another and developed a love for pets, especially dogs. But soon after, Francis and Mary were wed. Francis died. That made poor Mary a widow at age 17. So Mary wrote a poem about him. It went like this: by day, by night, I think of him, and wood or men, or where I be. My heart keeps watch of when he's gone, and yet I feel he's ache to me. But Francis's death made Mary a Scottish queen, and that made Queen Elizabeth worried that she would try to steal her crown. So when it came time that Mary was searching for a king, Queen Elizabeth got a little nervous that Mary would wed a strong, powerful man and try to steal more power. So Queen Elizabeth offered that she could marry Robert, so she could be her heir. But Mary refused and married her first cousin, Lord Darnley, instead. He was a strong, powerful man, but she loved him anyways. But she did not know the evil he held, for Darnley was a violent, bad-tempered drunkard. Now, Mary had a secretary named Rizzio. Darnley thought they were spending too much time together. So Mary was entertaining her friends with Rizzio. A gang attacked, including Darnley, and they stabbed Rizzio over 50 times. One day, Donnelly awoke, possibly recovering from smallpox, to an explosion or fire and died. But it was not the explosion that killed him. He was actually found strangled in the house garden. Mary had lost 3 family members in only 6 months. Mary was taken into court and let go, but she could not leave England. So Mary sent Spanish troops to kill the queen. But she was captured and put into jail for 19 years and had become so weak and fragile when she was beheaded, the man pulled up a wig and not a head. No one knew she had lost her hair. But just then a dog came out from under her body. She had brought her dog to her execution. I think that Mary was a very calm person. She had a happy life till the end. She was worried at some rates of her life, but not much. Anyways, I think she was a very complicated but fun person to talk about. Thank you.